Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mainstream Monday here on Horror Film Lovers. Wow, I feel like we've had 2 months away from this thing. Oh wait, I think we have. Well, I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and we're back, and my co-host,
John Ward.
John Ward, is back, and I can't wait. We've been doing Horror Film Lover reviews, and a lot of them have been Blumhouse movies, but not James Wan or Paranormal Activity related. So I figured, let's do those for Mainstream Monday and then all the other Blumhouse projects and stuff. We're gonna be doing or even I think we're doing the Evil Dead ones right now too. So go check those out, the Evil Dead reviews. But we're here to talk about Insidious: The Red Door. Um,
And to tell you, recently I've been screwing up with the movies that we've been reviewing,
mhm.
and I forgot which one we were doing, so I was going to watch all five, and I thought, no, that's going to take way too much time because I only have today to do it. So I randomly picked a movie. I just randomly picked a number because I forgot, and I did Red Door.
You picked what?
So
Oh, you picked the
I
Red
picked
Door. Okay.
I did pick the
I
Red
thought
Door.
I told
So
you
yeah,
Insidious 5.
so yeah,
Okay.
I'm dumb. I thought we were reviewing, Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's
Oh,
Spider-Man when we were, Evil Rises. So I didn't know. So I
but you
picked and I picked correctly. So
good,
there you go.
good. Well, there you go. You went
Yeah.
through the right door.
Yeah, it's going to be confusing when we do the Nun, and I've already forgotten if we reviewed Nun or Nun 1 or Nun 2. So I'm going to have to juggle those in the air, and whichever one lands face up, I'll just watch and you, you know,
Are you gonna do a
pray
different review?
and hope it's the right one for the
Oh,
review.
we'll
So
find out. I won't
yeah,
tell you because I know.
yeah. I mean, I'll just have to
All right.
fake it till you
Well,
make it.
we're here to talk about Insidious: The Red Door, which is the latest Insidious movie. And honestly, it's probably my least favorite. Um, yeah. I just think I like Ty
What?
Simpkins, but I just think his storyline was so boring, in my opinion. I didn't care about his art shit. I didn't care that it unlocked his memories of his emotions, all the stuff that he
You,
had,
you you know what
suppressed.
I didn't like? You know what I didn't like?
What
That this is a toxic masculinity film. This is about a father and son bonding over something that happened to them 9 years ago that was horrible. How dare they make a movie that focuses on two male figures?
was that?
And
Was that a real thing?
no,
Okay, good. Because I
but I
did
wouldn't be
not.
surprised. I would not be surprised since it didn't focus
It
on
was
women.
two white guys, by the way.
And it's two
Two
white
women.
guys.
Yeah. But I will say this: I might not have liked the Ty Simpkins a lot of that just kind of just drove me nuts. But they had to build themselves out a hole. They kind of put themselves at the end of Insidious 2, right? They were kind of I think it was Insidious 2, the one where they actually
Yeah,
did the stuff, and so
but they're gonna forget. Yeah,
they
the
had to
last
forget
year.
it. So if they wanted to do a sequel, they had to figure out a way to open it back up. So I understand. My biggest love was the roommate. I absolutely loved her. I adored her. I thought she was hilarious and she was fun. And I mean, sure, there was some bits that were like when she kissed him and then later she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have asked if I could." I'm like, you can't ask somebody at that moment anyways if you're gonna do that. But I get what she's saying, like the consent stuff, but you can't, you know.
Well, no, yeah, I mean but that's how people act now that
Right.
age. So it's and like I don't think that when we saw that she when to let people know this, it's 9 years after the second movie, so it's a
2019.
yeah, and it's the son and the dad have issues now. And this is what I really liked about it is because I love aftermath. So I love that because of what the mom and the father's mom did, that by having them forget a year, it just screwed everything up. That it just separated the son and the dad. It you know the parents got divorced. The son is now kind of like in this shell where he does this like weird art because he's something's in there that's and that he's bringing out onto the page.
And we also
And
have to point out this was the kid that was in the coma in, in the first one and everything.
coma. So it's that he realizes later it was not a coma, and he's going to go figure out what it is. He was
Hmm.
just told it's a coma, just like his younger
Well,
brother.
technically, I mean, to most other people outside of us, the audience who knows, remember the hospital thought it was a coma and couldn't understand why he wouldn't wake up, right? And everything.
Right.
We know why, and they find out why. But like in all intents and purposes, everybody else out in the world thought of it as a coma, you know.
Well,
So
it looks like a coma. It appears to be a coma, but it's not a coma. So it's
it's not
it's
like a
a
joke or something, what appears to be a coma, but it's not a coma, you know. I don't know.
coma walks into a bar, and so it's I like that this thing that they decided would be the best because Patrick Wilson, his mom had already done this to him before. That and that's I don't know if that screwed him up or not, but this definitely did. And I like that. I like that it screwed everything up and that Rose Byrne that the mom takes kind of blame for this a little bit. And she
Right.
couldn't say anything. Like she tells the kids completely, lies
Hmm.
to cover all this stuff up. And that screws her up.
Well, the worst part is I guess she didn't get the memory wiped, you know.
No, no, no. It's just the son and the dad.
Right. And yeah, yeah, but I guess the kid like remembers the part one of the things I hated was the line little brother, which pissed me the fuck off. I'm like, who fucking calls her little brother? Hey, little brother, like, whatever. Like that line was just ridiculous. I don't
I
know if
don't
you ever
that didn't bother me at all. I mean,
bothered me. I don't know. I'm like
I mean, I hear where you're coming from because I don't like hearing in movies when people say daddy or something or papa. Where's my papa? Nobody says papa. It's dad.
um
Where's my dad? Or where's my father? Nobody is
back in the
papa.
day they used to be Papa,
Are we in back in the day?
but I'm saying like some movies are back in the day or from back in the day, so that would be understandable. But nowadays, no. No, but there is like Pop, which is grandfather. There's,
Just call him
my
pop or
my
grandfather.
my my dad, my niece and my great nephew both call him Bumpa, because it's just easy to say, for a kid.
Bumpa.
Bumpa, because they're already
That's
saying
harder
like
to say. It's harder to say than papa.
no, Papa, but he's not a Papa. Papa's like a dad, right? Not a grandpa.
I used to call my grandfather pop.
Pop.
I used
Yeah,
to call him
well,
pop, and he's not a pop. That's
that was the
so.
interesting things. My niece called her other grandfather Pop. So just to, I guess, differentiate from either of the thing. But Bumpa's become the thing now. My great nephew will go Bumpa, Bumpa, Bumpa. Like wants my dad's attention all the time. It's like Bumpa, so cute. I love it. I think that's adorable. Um, but
Okay.
anyway,
I
but
all right. I
little
would.
brother. I'm
What's
sorry.
wrong with little brother? It's one.
Because
It's reminding us. Is that the actual brother? Like the kid from the films? Like was the little daughter
oh,
and the kid
that's
the
a good
same?
question. Let me find out. That is a good question.
Because on this Blu-ray here, which looks good and sounds good, it it only has two special features. and they're made for the Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
And it's past, present, and uh further, like the further, and a possessed director where he talks about directing. And that's it. Like this film made a buttload of money. You think you could do some audio commentary, maybe?
Okay, so the girl, the daughter, is not, but the little brother is.
Okay.
So, is from the original series. But like, the funny thing is, I don't think even the daughter had any lines in the movie. She was just there for
No, she had a
just
couple.
fill
She
her.
goes like, I miss grandma. At the
Okay.
funeral, she does, and then she's just completely missing after the funeral.
But wasn't she like a baby, originally? So
Yeah, yeah. So she wouldn't
so
have remembered any of this,
well,
but
she wouldn't have remembered any of this. Plus, the actor who played the as a baby probably wasn't the same. They just had to find somebody else. It's like, kind of like how Marvel had was
oh
with
well,
the
that's
different,
yeah. That's if it's a
people.
baby, then that's okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how young she was in the other movies,
I think
but
she was a baby because remember the in the first movie, Rose Byrne had to run upstairs to see the baby or whatever. The baby was crying. So that was the girl. That was the little girl, I believe. You know. So
okay,
yeah. So she wouldn't I mean,
yeah.
obviously she wouldn't know anything of what's going on. But the other kid, the little brother, would because he was there being attacked, I think by the father at one point. So wasn't he?
Well, yeah, we see that in the flashback. The mom is protecting the
The
two
children.
sons.
Yeah, the two
Yeah.
sons. So he you know, but it kind of brings, there's some cool stuff, little twists in it that I liked that I thought was a pretty neat stuff with going back into the further as a older than they are, even though Patrick Wilson still looks the same 9 years later,
Yeah, he really hasn't aged any. So
Yeah.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
I like this movie. I like what they did with it. I'd have to think about if we wanted to re-rank them with this one being in it. Um,
I guess we should at some point. I don't know. Should we yeah, let me kind of thinking
well,
like let's do that
I
now, but
know
do that I mean
like I
today.
was it Lost Key
The
or
last
Last
key,
Key?
the last key.
So I think Last Key was my favorite. Then part two.
I don't even remember what my old one was score was, but whatever it is,
Then
this is my least favorite.
wow, I would probably I don't know. I liked this when I first saw it, so this isn't a Halloween Ends thing. I know that. So yeah, I would kind of have to think about it because I think Last Key, then part two, then because Last Key is part four, then it went part one and then part three because part three is not part of the family. That's
Yeah,
with the really hot girl who has the two broken legs.
right. It had nothing to
Um,
do with the family, and neither did four, right? The last key was all about
four was
uh
the was a prequel
was a
to
prequel. Yeah, so that wasn't about what's
right.
his name? His family or anything, Patrick Wilson's family or anything.
No, but I think at the very end of it, they do mention the family.
Yeah. I think it
Yeah,
sets up for when, she's supposed to meet them or something,
yeah. So you
or
could because
whatever.
we did watch them in chronological order. So I think we watched
Three,
four.
no, four,
No, was it three?
I think we watched three first because no, four, and then
Because
three.
four is the prequel.
Yeah.
Then was it three? Then one and
I'm
two.
gonna have to go to our,
So I think that's right. So if I had to put this in there, I would say I like it better than three, but not as much as the other ones. But I still like the whole thing of the father and son dynamic of them just being messed up because of what they did.
Okay, so yeah, it went three, then four, then one, then two. So three was before four. I don't know why that is. Maybe it was something before Elise became, who she is or whatever, you know, and stuff. But I I remember so both of them were prequels, I guess, to, what's going on. And they had to be
Okay.
because both involved
Yeah.
Lin Shaye. Even though they used Lin Shaye in this movie, which was pretty cool. I,
Yeah.
I I didn't like that. Being a big Lin Shaye fan, I was kind of like, how are they gonna do this? She's dead, you know. And then my thought was, oh, she'll just be in the further for some reason, or whatever. And nope, that's not how they use her. But she's definitely, she definitely
Yeah, they
pops
got her
up.
on the TV, which is nice, along with our two
And I thought that was going to
paranormal
be the
guys.
only appearance, right? I thought that was it. Then she comes back at the end where she just talks to Tim, which gave me a very weird feeling, like a weird vibe, because I'm like, is she going to be following him now as a ghost? Or is she like,
I I wondered if he was still in the further.
I thought that too for a second, like maybe he was still in the further because when, what's his name? Dalton did the whole, was it destroying the picture and everything? That made him stuck, you know.
Oh.
But I thought about that, but then I was like, I it would be weird because now we're in a section where I don't know if they're in the further or not because the son and his roommate or ex-roommate called up, the mom and asked, is he awake? Is he okay? Right? Did he get out? And she said he did. And he did wake up. But does that mean he's like half in the further, half in real life?
Maybe he's in like a limbo, like a purgatory type thing that he could see her, or maybe because he's has that connection to the further and all that stuff that he could see her.
Yeah. I mean, there's
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 just
questions, and that's a big problem I have with the movie. Is like nothing was ever fully answered for things, I don't think.
well, the film made enough money to where they could make a sequel.
Mm.
So
Here's okay. So we've talked about this. I think we talked about this on the Evil Dead Rise one. But like, if a movie is a low enough budget, 20 million, 5 million, whatever, and this is Blumhouse, so they probably made it for like, we'll find out later because you do the whole budget thing.
I
But,
got it
you know,
all ready. Yep.
10, say $10 million or whatever, and then they make $100 million. Of course, the movie's going to get a sequel, whether or not the movie's actually good or bad, and
But that's in my opinion is the way sequels almost should be made. Because look at all the Friday the 13th movies.
right.
They were
Those
they
were
were
perfect.
made for well, they were made for pennies, but not all of them are good.
Right.
And I it's like something like part five. I mean, we'd have to look at what they made, but I don't think part five made as much as part four.
I gotta we're gonna go down that rabbit hole at some point. I'm sure we are. The Friday the 13th movies.
Probably.
I think we've talked about that like, are we gonna do every single franchise, all the mainstream franchise? I mean, as many as we can until we're like, we're done with the show. We're you
Yeah,
know,
no, we'll have to do Scream 7. Is it 7 now? Yeah, 7 when it
I
comes
mean,
out.
who knows when that'll
You
come
know,
out? I don't even know if that will. At this rate, they'd have a better luck just rebooting it as a brand new like Scream One, or
they
whatever.
tried that with two TV shows.
Well, yeah, but that the problem with the first TV show is had nothing to do with Woodsboro, and I think both of them had nothing to do with Woodsboro. This
No, they've just brought back the mask for the second one.
Yeah,
So, which I enjoyed both of them.
it
It took
just
me
wasn't Scream for
twice.
me, you know.
You have to you got to watch it. It's
I did. I watched the
you
whole season of the first season, and I was not impressed, you know.
Oh, I liked it. I thought
Hmm.
because it was a thing that was on its own, and then you got what is nicknamed the Ghetto Scream, and that's when they had the mask back.
Yeah.
but and I enjoyed that one too. So, and then they had like the Halloween special that came out from in between the two seasons.
Right.
But I think as long as you can come up with a good story and Insidious 5 made a ton of money, then why not? You know, make another one. So it's
And
if they want to
I
end it
want
here, it's
more.
fine.
Like I want more. I'm not saying like I'm done with the series or anything. I'm just saying like honestly, this just, didn't grip me as much as the other ones did. And I think a lot of that, and I've talked to you briefly and you were kind of confused, but or at least
Yeah,
you
I did.
said
I
you were
didn't
kind
get
of.
your message.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Scott Teems, who wrote this movie, he also, yeah, he did the story with Lee Winnell, but he wrote the movie. He also wrote Firestarter. He wrote Halloween Kills, or did the something with Halloween Kills, like maybe the story for it. He worked on Exorcist Believer as the storyline, and stuff. And I'm like, you are terrible, sir. Like you are the worst. And I don't. He's a frat boy. Like when I see a lot of his stuff, I can tell. Like this dude, if you look at his picture, he looks like a rock star, And he doesn't. He comes off like a Rob Zombie vibe to me in the picture. So I can't get. I like I haven't liked any of his movies so far, and I haven't seen
Well,
Exorcist Believer yet, but
I
you
mean,
know,
I'm looking at his stuff now. So he did like five short films I've never heard of.
hmm
From like 2004 to 2018. Feature film as director, he did That Evening's Sun. Looks like a drama. Oh, it's a Holbrook, Twain, and American Odyssey. So Hal Holbrook and Mark Twain. So he directed that, which is a documentary. The Quarry, that I have heard of. It's got a decent cast in it. Yeah, writer of Halloween Kills,
ugh,
writer of Firestarter. He's
ugh.
also one of the producers. Writer of Insidious, Red Door, and
I
he
mean,
did the story for Exorcist Believer, and then he's worked on a couple television shows. Rectify, 6 episodes, and then one episode of Narcos Mexico. So it's yeah, this is not a great track record. I mean, I hate Halloween Kills. I really don't think I'll ever like that movie.
well,
I tried doing a Halloween Ends with it, and when I rewatched Halloween Ends, I went, oh shit, I actually kind of like this. I rewatched Halloween Kills and said nope, and I turned it off halfway through. I just couldn't do it. And Firestarter is there's one or two things I liked in it, but it is awful.
hmm
It is bad. And I
so
cannot wait to hear what you have to say about Exorcist Believer.
I mean, I don't think I'm gonna like it, but
You shouldn't.
I hope not, but I don't know. I'm more excited to hear what your thoughts are because, like you said, you changed your mind on Halloween Ends, so and that's David Gordon Green, so who knows? But you said
I
Halloween Kills, you didn't, so I don't know.
the thing with Halloween Ends is so with Exorcist Believer is so freaking woke that I can't get past it, and it's like I can't do this. The whole thing with bringing up the patriarchy and one girl being white and one girl being black, and of course the white girl is the one. Well, I'm not going to tell you, but it's
I've heard things, so I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's everything is the crazy, and even though I'm atheist, but the crazy white Christian family, and it's everything in this just pandered to things I don't like,
right.
just and
And this movie didn't
so
have that much or anything. I don't think it had
no,
any like,
it had at the beginning of it when the roommate, the black girl, comes in, and they're like, "Oh, Chris, we thought that was a guy," and she goes, "Well, this is a liberal arts school, emphasis on liberal."
yeah.
Meaning that guys and girls can live together. I think the dad had more of an issue with it than the son did because the son just seemed pretty laid back but intense at the same time. Like I don't
Hmm.
think he cared if she lived there or not. It was more
I
of
did
a
like that liberal line because like, look, you're, like that is what, but it goes back to like when if you go back and watch our Evil Dead Rise thing, we talked about when the girl said, when the girl talked about the protest she was gonna do and everything like that,
the
and
Labor Day protest,
yeah, the Labor Day protest and stuff,
which
and
is
that kind
weird.
of bothered you a little bit. And I it didn't bother me, just because once again it goes to like I think that was part of her character, and that's a character
Well,
for 2023, you
it
know.
was a red letter media issue, and I agreed with them because Mike brings it up of why is she protesting Labor Day, or is the protest on Labor Day? Because she's saying, I'm going to go protest on Labor Day, but it's like her sign was about climate control.
Right.
So it's like, why Labor Day? Why not say Earth Day? You
That would have
know,
been better.
yeah, that's a me thing. They didn't mention that, but I didn't even think about that when I watched the movie. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I rewatched it because you said you were watching it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be a good thing to watch. And
Yeah,
then
because we
Mike's
were
like,
reviewing it.
yeah, and Mike's like, is she protesting Labor Day? And I thought Labor Day was a good thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, yeah, that is, I guess the protest is on, but the daughter wasn't annoying in that way with the protesting because that's just who she is. That's the
Right.
family. So it didn't, none of anything in there bothered me at all
So, I
with,
mean, and here's the thing, when you make a movie in 2023, 22, whatever, in the 2020s and stuff, and you have Gen X characters, actors, kind of playing parts or whatever, you have to understand like things are going to be, well, I guess this was supposed to take place in 2019 though. So were
well, the
they
Gen,
like
I mean, for Insidious, the Gen X would be Patrick Wilson.
not Gen
And then
X. I meant Gen Z. I meant
yeah,
Gen
then the
Z.
millennial would be the son, and then Gen Z would probably be the little brother. So
Are
that's
you sure about that?
I'm
What year was,
I'm Gen X and I'm 56.
hold on, what year is Gen Z? Um,
I mean, Gen Z is right now. Gen Z is the current.
actually right now is Gen Alpha.
mm, Well, for newborns,
Well, up
but
to
they, but they, the,
2024, and then
the,
25 is beta.
but the younger people, like the 20s people, 20 somethings are Gen Z.
Okay, hold on, let me see. So Ty Simpkins was born what year? So 2021. He is a Gen Z. He's a Gen Z guy. Gen
No,
Z's,
I don't.
yes, I looked it up. Gen Z starts 1997 to 2012. Gen Alpha is 2013 to 2024.
That I'm Gen Z.
Not
I'm sorry, I'm Gen X.
right.
So when does
And
Gen Z start?
so Gen X starts 1965 to 1980.
Right. So
And
after that is
Millennials is 1981 to 1996. And then 1997 to 2012 is Gen Z.
so what is the son? Gen Z?
Yeah, so the son is Gen Z because Ty Simpkins
Okay.
himself is even born in 2001.
Well, he would be like 20. So yeah, so he would be Gen Z in real
Yeah,
life.
so in real
Yeah.
life, yes. And
So his
in the
character
show,
would be Gen Z. Yeah.
yes, in the show, yeah, he would have been Gen Z. So the point is that like, when you make a movie that is that from that generation's point of view, and this has that generation's point of view with the frat party stuff and the roommate who's, wasn't supposed to be there. They just got mixed up with the name Chris, which was weird because I don't know how the Chris was named, but what was it short for something, or was her name just Chris? I
Well,
wonder.
like Christina. So you would
Yeah,
think on her form it
it
would
would
say
say Christina,
Christina whatever,
right?
not Chris.
Unless her name was just Chris,
I
you
don't
know.
think so. I
I
mean,
don't know.
that's even guys named Chris are normally like Christopher.
Right. That's what I was thinking. But like people are weird these days. They do name their kids, you know, there's some weird ass names out there. Sometimes they change things up to because they're like, "Oh, I want my kid to be named Chris because and not Christopher and not Christian and not Christina, I want it to just be Chris, you know. I don't know. Just
I
people.
mean, maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, people. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
But
anyway,
but it shows that, and I don't think this is exactly woke. I think this is just more of the signs of the times. But like when they're at the fraternity, and you had was it Mike the Dick
Nick
or
the Dick.
Nick the Dick, and he goes, he's giving his big speech. And he
Hmm.
goes, "This is a place where men can be men," and the entire room is silent.
Right.
Like there's no applause. Then he goes, "Oh shit, let's party!" And then it all goes,
Yeah.
and then he gets back to it. It definitely shows that,
Well,
10
also mainly
years
women were
ago,
down there. Did you notice that when they cut it to it, it was like mostly girls at that frat party?
I'm gonna say at my age, so being 56, only a couple years ago, I was at I was at a like a party, like an after party for a premiere.
Right.
And I was just drinking with guys around my same age. And this young girl, very cute, probably in her 20s, like mid 20s, somewhere in there, comes up and asks me to dance. And I thought, oh, okay. So I went up and asked her, I went out and I danced with her, and I was a little drunk. And we separated, and then she came up and asked me to dance again. And I said, okay. And so we danced, and she goes, "You're fun. You're a fun guy. You're fun." And I go, "Well, you're fun too. You're a fun gal." And we had a good time, and it was fun. And that's where it ended. And I realized, you know, you don't, as a guy, you don't have to think the girl wants to have sex with you. You don't
Right.
have to think that the girl's hitting on you. You don't have to hit on the girl either.
Hmm.
You can just go, just maybe kind of like how this frat party is in the movie, and just have fun with people.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter if you're young or older or a guy or a girl, whatever it is, it doesn't immediately mean like, oh my God, look, I'm 56 and she's in her 20s. She must like me. No, she just wants to have fun,
Hmm.
And so don't be a creep.
Don't be
Don't
a
be
creep.
annoying. Keep your hands, don't. And I'm somebody who likes political incorrectness. I love those movies like Animal House and stuff. But it's like you you don't need to be a scumbag. You can just have fun.
Yeah.
And
No.
I think that's what that fraternity party was. It was just having fun. Because
I
they
t
really Nick the Dick, it looks like a dick later on, especially when he tells the girl he's going to go take a shit for a while, and she's like, "Ew, gross," and she closes her laptop and
That
leaves.
girl was the cutest girl in the whole fucking movie.
She
Oh,
was really
I
cute.
was I was
Yeah.
like, oh. I was like, and I looked her up. She'd only done like two other movies other than this, and I was like, oh. I'm like, I hope she gets more work because of this movie because she was adorable. But she was also very it was funny. It was a funny moment of ew. Like I
Well,
like
he's such
that.
a whippy guy. If you look at something like Animal House, you got like, Tim Matheson and these guys that, are obviously like 30 years old playing a 20-year-old, but
Right,
they look like men. They
right.
actually but then when you look at somebody like, Nick the Dick, who probably has a very small dick, he's so nerdy looking and so tiny and just doesn't look like somebody who should be running a frat house.
Even
So
after Chris it kicks him in the dick, and like
I thought that I
everybody,
like that. Yeah,
yeah,
because I mean, I was wondering, like, he says that she looks like a clown. I'm like, how does she look like a clown? And then it cuts to her outside, and her clothes are all different styles and
right.
colors. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's why he said it. I still didn't think she looked like a clown, but it's like, oh, okay, he's just being
And
a
then
dick.
yeah, he's being a dick, and then the guy's like, I'm sorry for that, and she was like, I don't care what he thinks, And I just the more I watched, I did really like her character. Like I did love her character. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Well, and I like that they didn't get involved. I
Right.
like that he didn't try to make a move on her and she was like, whoa. And then,
I
I
almost, I mean, this might be a little wrong, but I had a feeling Dalton might swing the other way a little bit. He might not. I don't know. He wasn't, you can't tell from the necessarily, but like just the hair, the long hair that he has, the just the way he's made up,
him being an
and look,
art student, that says it
art
all
stu
right there.
I mean,
Right there.
that's very, what
Just
is
being
it?
in the arts, that tells you a lot.
That's very what is it? Typecasting, whatever. That's very stereotypical of art people being gay. But I just thought he might have been gay, but there was no talk about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was no like that wasn't a big thing. That was just something, and I kind of liked that. Because like if he was, there was no there was no talk about it. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't made out to like, oh my God, I'm gay. I'm blah blah blah. Right? It was like if he's gay, he's gay, and he's just keeping that shit to himself. But if he's straight, he's straight, and also apparently keeping that to himself because he's never says anything inappropriate. He never says anything about anybody sexually or anything because all his whole thing is like, I gotta find out why the fuck I'm drawing this door, like in my art class or
Well,
whatever.
yeah, and then like once she starts to get strangled and everything, she's like, "I'm out of here." I'm
Yeah.
done with this. At first it seemed to be something that was almost like a novelty, and then it's like, "Oh shit, this is serious." And,
Yep.
and I think I like that. There's been a couple movies, well, more than a couple now, where there people aren't being attacked, and I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. And what I mean by that is you have a group of teenagers that fit the whole spectrum. So some are gay, some are bi, we got black, white, maybe Asian, that whole thing, trans. And there's these movies that deal with them and nobody is attacking them. So I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but I've noticed that and I've kind of liked it in films that they can go to high school without the
Persecution.
without the quarterback like beating up the gay kid in the parking lot.
Right.
And I'm
Because
like,
he's gay.
yeah. And so I'm like, okay, is that how schools are now? I mean, are schools a lot more
Okay.
accepting?
So schools are sort of, but also kids are still kids. So
Right.
like there's still a little bit of bullying going on, especially like online, from what I've understood. And uh but like teachers, like I'm friends with a guy who's a teacher. I think he's like a substitute teacher. So he goes and helps out with certain classes and he'll chat with a lot of the kids and stuff and he will but it seems like kids today just sort of they're just different, in a way where it's not a bad thing. It's just the way that, it's not the way you and I were brought up. You and I were brought up in different generations. So I'm a millennial who grew up in 80s and 90s. You grew up in what 70s and 80s sort of thing.
70s and 80s. Yeah, the
Yeah.
the 80s would be my time period, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and in that time period is a lot different than what I went through, and stuff like that. So which is it's just
Oh yeah, it was very clicky. It was all that. So I guess with Insidious that it was kind of nice. Not, I mean, the guy Nick the Dick calls her a clown, but nothing worse.
right.
When he could have, if you really wanted to make the white villain, type of thing, he
But
could
it
have said
wasn't
it.
really the
But
villain. Like the villain,
no, he's just stupid. He's
he's
just kind
just
of
yeah, he's a
he's
dick.
got the face stuff on because he's got probably oily skin because he goes, oh yeah, it helps my pores, and
Right.
so he's doing that. He's got to take the dump, which scares the girl away.
Don't blame
He's
her.
got the Magnum condoms. So they definitely don't show him in the best of light, but they don't make an absolute fool out of him
Right.
either. So it's not like a direct attack on somebody who's like white with privilege.
Uh-huh.
Um, because that's what the son mentions. Uh, but also nobody attacks anybody. Like
Mm.
nobody is like you're not having the college bullies beat up the son because he's an artist.
Well, remember in Halloween Ends, the band people were beating up on like the people who were
I I have now
whatever.
taken that that's a total joke. That it had to be David Gordon Green saying, let's get away from kind of like in Christine, where it is like, the football jock type of guys. No, actually, but there it's the machine shop. It's the like the automobile shop guys are
Right.
beating up on Cunningham, on Ernie. And in this one, I think he says, let's do the opposite. Let's have the band kids be the
I
bullies.
I
And
just
and
I
I now
can't
find
I
that to be very funny.
well, if it were funny, they should have made it funny. It was not funny when they did it. It just felt really weird and awkward to me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't think that you can't really make it funny. I think they're just swapping it, but it's the same thing of what, like American Pie, when Willow says that she stuck a flute up her and she's really horny, or they're gonna have sex now. You're not expecting that from somebody in band,
Right. But that's funny. That's a funny line.
but that's a
Where
comedy. This isn't. That's
yeah,
Halloween
but
Ends
but
isn't a
this is
comedy.
directed by a comedic director who's really good at comedy and written by a guy, a co-writer
Oh,
who's very good at comedy.
that
They
and
should
that's
have
why
put
he
that
should
in there.
never. Yeah, that's why he should never make these movies again. I mean,
He's
it's he should have never. He should have just done Halloween and gone away, and
right.
then go back to all the great comedy shows that he does with Danny McBride.
Right.
And because I'm looking forward to the Righteous Gemstones, and it's the new
Wait,
season.
oh, the new season of it. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like season 4 is what they're working on now. But I think it was a massive mistake for them to do. I don't know how much Danny McBride was involved in Exorcist Believer.
Look,
He might, but that
um,
was a mistake, a huge
yes.
mistake.
David Gordon Green was not originally a comic director anyway, too, or a horror director. He did dramas. He did stuff like George Washington.
Yeah,
He did All the Real Girls. He did there was one other one. It wasn't Mean Creek, was it? It was something he did one other one. And then he did like Knights of Badassdom, I want to say. And I know he did Pineapple Express, which was just amazing.
but
Uh,
that's also, then he also worked on, like, what is it, Your Highness and stuff like
Your
that.
Highness, that's the one. Not Knights of Badassdom. Your
It,
Highness.
it, it it's yeah, but your title's good. So I think in some ways that's almost what you want, because that's what, like, Tim Burton had only done comedies. And then he did Batman. And then we heard that Beetlejuice was going to be Batman. And there was a petition going around to not have Michael Keaton as Batman. And then Michael Keaton is now still everybody's favorite Batman. So I was hoping that would happen with Green Hornet, with Seth Rogen. Wow, was I fucking wrong.
Hmm.
So when you see somebody like David Gordon Green hopping on something serious, I was all for it. So when I heard
Yeah.
that he was going to do Halloween, I'm like,
And
oh,
and the
that's
first
that's
Halloween was
that's
okay.
awesome.
It wasn't it didn't do anything that like made change the world of
I
slasher cinema, but it was a decent movie,
I don't think he understands what he's making. He definitely doesn't understand The Exorcist. That's for sure.
and
I don't think he understood the Halloween movies at all. I think because you have someone like Patrick Wilson, to kind of get back into the Insidious, because Patrick Wilson has been in 3 of them now, 4 of them, 3 of them.
now
I think he mentions in the documentary that he's done 3. He's
yeah.
played the dad 3 times. Um,
And he was in the Conjuring
He's
movies, so he's been in,
Yeah, so he's going to understand this stuff, and he can float or swim over to Aquaman
and
and take care of that.
and he's worked with James Wan, who, had a specific style of stuff. And I noticed this film was well directed. Like
It's
Patrick Wilson
very
did.
well directed and well lit and well edited, and
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say the directed part because there are certain shots that I was really impressed with. Two specifically I'm gonna mention right now is one where he's in the car waiting on that, texting Dalton and everything, and the woman behind him, the thing keeps getting closer or whatever, and you're like, where's this going? What's happening? And he has no idea. He's just paying attention to this stuff. Then he moves a little bit over. He, right for the camera, then comes back and it's gone. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like I thought, okay, I was like, where is it? Is
well,
it gonna come back or?
I went back and rewatched that because I
Mhm.
wanted to see like when the figure disappeared. The figure is always in the background, but it's blurred out to match everything there, and it's just standing perfectly still until it's not. And
Oh,
then it starts to move and starts to come closer and closer. What is it? Who knows?
I thought, you know what? I started thinking about it at the end. I thought it was Elise, you know?
Mhm.
So it could be either Elise or his mom, but I was thinking Elise. So I thought the because Elise shows up later, and my idea is that maybe she was thinking about, or what she was gonna come, and then she just didn't end up, talking to him. But it wasn't the
Hmm.
right time anyway because he hadn't gone through the further, you know, and stuff. You know what I mean? So, but the other really great shot that I loved, that I thought almost felt like a James Wan type thing, was when he's looking at his father's like slides about the this stuff going on with his father, and it was going as it was going, the camera was editing like it was getting closer to him, and we're watching it. It was almost as if we were a slide,
Huh,
each
okay.
time. And I felt like that was a pretty cool like little, it's a small little thing, but to me, it, it did something different. It didn't just make a scene where all of a sudden we're just zooming in on this guy. We're not just zooming in. We're kind of going goosh, dish, 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 closer and closer, closer. And I was like, and it made me feel like because we was looking at those things, made me feel like one of those. And I was like, that is a pretty cool like little trick. So I
I,
dug it.
I I liked that, and then in the same scene, I like the first shot in there where the camera's kind of up high in the library, and he's directly in the center. It's a very Stanley Kubrick shot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just kind of moving in on him because there's a few of those, and I like when people do, and he does this a few times, where the camera takes up the entire space of the room,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're most likely shooting with like a wide lens, and one character is way over here and the other person's way over here,
Like
so
a lot of
they're like
times with like
this.
the bedroom or something, yeah, like a bedroom scene or something
Yeah,
too.
and there's the communication is they're far, or the one person could just be way over here while there's nothing going on over here. But it's that's a very John Carpenter-esque
Yeah,
thing, is to show the entire space, but there may only be like a small section that's being used.
yeah,
So, because if you like look at us, for example, this is fine for what we're doing, but technically we should really be over here. If you want to make it more film like, you
I
have the person
guess.
to the side of the
I
frame.
thought about that. I was like, wait, I'm in the middle. I could be over on this side or whatever, but
Yeah, I mean,
I
just
think I
if you
was going to, but I was going to block the red door, and I was like, I don't want to block the red door if I'm over there because I wanted to show off the Insidious sign right there. But then I was like, if I'm over on that side, I'm blocking the red door. I'd rather block the Insidious.
so now it's just odious door,
Oh yeah, yeah, an
dodious door.
idiot store, idiot store. I don't know. I don't know.
but
whatever.
it's I really liked his directing. I think that he obviously learned a lot from most, I think probably like all these guys do, from working with James Wan.
Yeah,
And especially with working on him with at two different companies on two different franchises,
and
that
and
it just made sense for him to direct this.
and James produced it, so I'm guaranteeing you he was probably on set at times, and if he ever
That's
probably
what I was bummed out about with the Blu-ray is I see, oh, extras, and I'm click click, what, click click, why are there only two extras on here? Click click, no, click click, come on, where's that 12-minute behind the scenes where we get to talk to James Wan and everybody else? It's like, that sucks. These things
yeah.
are only like 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long. It's just like,
On honestly, if physical media is dying, like it's not dead, but it's got problems because studios just not are not caring about them as much. It doesn't feel like, and they're not putting any effort into anything like maybe they will if they put it on 4K and then add that, you have to buy the extra stuff on the 4K one, which kind of sucks, That's like kind of how they're feeling these days. Excuse me.
well, and that's one of the problems is if you're making your movies for a gazillion dollars and there's no way at the box office they're going to make back their money, hence Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, some of these other films that cost way beyond what they should have
Right.
cost, you're you're probably going to put zero on the disc. I mean, Mission Impossible, I think that disc was made up before the movie got released,
Mm-hmm.
and they were expecting a hit. But something like Indiana Jones, I'd be very curious to see what's on Dial of Destiny.
Yeah,
So,
because
or just moving forward, what these things look like.
I'll agree with that because I don't think Dial of Destiny they really cared as much about once it didn't do once it bombed in the box office, or whatever. Which I don't think it bomb or did it like
It
it did it
bombed. It
make
bombed because of its budget. That's the problem with a lot of these is that it's plus you always have to add also like a million plus to marketing. So these days that they used to say that a film had to double its budget to make it back. No, these days you have to like three times, four times your budget
oh
because of
wow.
how expensive they are.
Yeah, especially with like yeah, if they are cheap like this movie, I'm sure wasn't the hugest budget in the world. It's gonna make at least double, if not triple, quadruple the money. And that was, I mean, Blumhouse made that a model for their films
Incredibly smart.
because of uh to start with their first one with Paranormal Activity. Once Paranormal Activity just grossed this huge amount, they're like, why do we need everything to be, you
Because
know?
because I think and we talked about this in probably the first Insidious video, is what is the further? It's their house with smoke.
Hmm.
And you throw up a blue light, a red light, you're using the same set twice. And anybody could go out. You could go to Walmart and buy a fog machine. They normally have them for sale on Halloween. So they don't have to buy, they don't have to go to a completely different location. They just reset it,
But then
for that. But when you have all used, let's say She-Hulk as an example, the actress who played She-Hulk has even said, "Yeah, we screwed ourselves with our budget." Because like each episode of She-Hulk, and I think I'm lowballing it, was like $10 million. And it's just like, how can you make a TV show for $10 million an episode?
I think the total for like that Secret Invasion was like 250 million for
That's
and I'm like it's TV.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
ridiculous.
and streaming for that matter,
And it's all
which means
visual effects.
you're not going to get your money back on that, investment. And that is a problem that Disney has been making recently, with stuff. And I don't, as much as I still love them, I know you hate them, but
I do.
You absolutely do. But it's fine. You can. I will still, I still support them, but I I think they need to get their he need to he,
People need to get fired because you don't. The problem that they're having, both Feige and like Kathleen Kennedy, are reshoots that
yep.
they shoot so much. The reshooting, like they wait till the film is almost done, like 90% done, and then they're like, oh, let's scrap it. Kevin Feige was going to throw Echo away. He wasn't even going to release it. He's even said it was awful,
Mm.
and he wasn't going to
I like
release
the
it.
first episode. I haven't seen the rest. I'll watch it, but it's
I
just
know people who are dedicated like Marvel fans who hated Echo,
I know a lot of
and
people who are dedicated Marvel fans who loved it. So I mean,
they're
it's
idiots. But that's okay. That's fine if they like bad writing. If you like destroying what the Echo comic book was to make a shit movie, then that's okay. But it's he decided to drop all the episodes at once because he had nothing to show. There were like
right.
no shows to put out. So he's like, well, crap, we got to release it. So we'll just dump all the episodes at once. So it's none of this stuff being, we're gonna get into, so since we're talking about budget, so Insidious Red Door, this is, come on, people. Okay, so this goes a little out of what Blumhouse does, but it was 16 million to make. And the film's box office was 189.1 million.
So hold on, 189. Let's see, 189. Let's just do 189 million. Uh,
And then its budget was 16 million.
or wait, 100. Yeah, 189 million minus what was the budget?
16 million.
16 million. That's $173 million profit right
That
there.
film's a hit.
Yeah, that's not just a hit. That's like that's what. But the problem with like Disney, and they made this big hole that they have to like have to make billions of dollars, right? They have to be every movie has to be a billions, to make that much. And they're not going to make that much anymore because right now they're just nobody's interested in that stuff. And they've got to figure out what people want right now. They got to start because
Nor normally when your film makes less money, you stop. I mean,
right.
that's Friday the 13th, they stopped. Nightmare on Elm Street, they stopped. The Universal monster movies, they stopped. The Hammer Dracula films or Frankenstein films, they stopped once they started realizing that their movies weren't making any money, and they just keep doing it. The example that people give for me, or at least that I've read, is the remake of Little Mermaid compared to Avatar 2. Little Mermaid looked ugly. The effects looked cheap. It had a massive budget. Nobody cared. But yet, Avatar 2 made over $2 billion. And James Cameron even said, yeah, this film is really expensive. It needs to make over $2 billion. And it did. And that's because he took 10 friggin' years to make it. So it shows that when you have something that looks like Avatar 2 that is beyond beautiful, it just looks gorgeous.
Okay, in fairness, in fairness, the budget for Little Mermaid was $240.2 million. That's a lot. You know. They made 569.6 million. So they made double their I
That's a
guess
bomb.
that's
That's
double.
a fail. That's a
Yeah.
bomb. That's a failure.
Um oh man, I am not even I don't know what they're gonna do with Snow White because they've already gone through reshoots upon reshoots of stuff to fix all of these things that people are already like not liking. I think they're just gonna end up scrapping it. Like, they're
I
gonna
hope they
have to.
do.
I hope they do too because it it would be better for them to write it off as a tax write-off than for them to actually put it out now because it's gotten, I mean, you look on any Hunger Games thing, they just attack Rachel Zegler like that. Like people just don't like her,
as they
and
should.
as they
she
shouldn't.
she as they should. She's the new Brie Larson. She needs to shut up.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Nobody is interested in you wearing a princess gown and all day, and you should be paid for every single hour that it's streamed. Oh, really?
Right.
How much money did you make? Like, what was your paycheck? I
You
bet
know,
you made more money than most people will make their entire life off that one movie.
she's been going on record lately and like going on interviews now and just doing a backtrack thing. And
Yeah, it's
it's
an apology tour
yeah,
that's
it's an
that's not working.
apology tour and nobody's buying it because she
No.
can't say the exact opposite of what she's been saying and like and expect people to go, "Oh, okay." I and some people do. Some people are sheep to that, they just want to see more Hunger Games, I guess, or whatever. Nobody cares about her as Snow White, I don't think. Like literally no one really. Like
Oh
and
no, Hunger Games bombed too. So every movie she's been in is bombed.
it didn't bomb as badly as because its budget was a lot lower than all the other movies that she's been in. I think that the movie didn't bomb nearly as bad, but it still did bomb. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's a the new comparison for that is Godzilla, -1.
-1. Yeah,
Yeah, that it cost 15 million and the film like generated a gazillion freaking dollars. And
yeah,
that's because it only cost 15 million. So if you make 30 million, 40 million, your film is a hit. And that's low. But it
right.
made and that's where Insidious comes in, is that when you look at the budgets of these things, that their budgets are all small and they could get away with that type of stuff.
All
So if
right, so
something doesn't do as well,
the box office. Okay, I might disagree a little bit with you. Uh, it it did three times its budget. Its budget was 100 million. It grossed 338 million.
wait, which film?
Hunger Games.
No, Hunger Games for her was a bigger hit, but it still wasn't a hit. It's like
Yeah,
people went to go see
but
it,
they're
but it
still going to
wasn't
make
a
another
hit.
one with her. They're going to do that. You understand that, right? They're going to make the next Hunger Games movie, which I don't understand if they can yet, because doesn't the writer of the Hunger Games need to write another book before they can do that?
I guess
Um,
they just do an original story,
yeah,
but
because I don't think there's another. That this is why a lot of these things, they have to have at least three books in, you know, like in a series before they'll do. Did you hear they're remaking Lord of the Rings? I'm like,
yeah, they're do
why? Like a
yeah,
whole
they're
new features, not
oh, new
TV
feature.
show. Yeah,
Oh yeah, because Amazon has their awful Lord of the Rings
right.
prequel.
But they're doing like was it movies for Lord of the Rings for Warner Brothers, and I'm like, oh, I mean,
Well, it's
we
because
have
they
that.
they need hits, but they're not going to get them. I mean, not like The Hobbit made a lot of money, but they're also remaking Harry Potter, and that's for Max, so that's Warner Brothers. So I think they're desperate because they're going bankrupt. There's already been rumors of gender swapping and race swapping for Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, oh,
So
really? Gender swapping for him? Like,
yeah, there's a rumor. It's just a rumor that Hermione is now black.
oh, well, gender swapping though. Is she gonna be a man now?
I did hear stuff out there that Harry's going to be a woman, like a young woman.
I hope not.
But this is all rumors and blah blah
How would
blah.
that even, like, she wouldn't be called Harry then?
Harriet Potter.
Oh God, no. I thought about that right after I said Harry. I was like, oh God, Harriet Potter. Who goes by Harry? Yeah. Oh God.
With an I at the end
No, I
instead
mean,
of the Y. But
what?
if you,
Or, I
so
don't.
I brought up like the budgets for the Insidious stuff. So like, and I'll quickly go over. So Insidious budget is 1.5 million for Insidious.
Well, okay, so remember the first Insidious was what Blumhouse generally did back then. So back in the day, I don't know if they still do this or not, but they would find directors who and Jason Blum's talked about this, but he would find directors who have kind of failed but that were talented at one point and did really talented stuff, but then had bombed in the box office. So James Wan and Lee Winnell made was it Saw, and that was a huge hit and made a franchise and was really great. And then they did both Death Sentence and what was the other one we reviewed? Dead Silence.
Oh,
And
decides,
those
yeah.
both bombed badly, right? And stuff. And they were almost gonna be like, you're out of a job, but Jason came up and said, hey, we'll make this for 1.5 million dollars. You'll take a much lesser cut of money, but you'll have more on the back end when it makes its money back. That's kind of what they do with a lot of these big time actors too, like Ethan Hawke. They end up doing that. And then we're gonna make this movie and if it's a hit, because it was made for 1.5 million dollars, if it makes 10 million dollars, you're a hit, or whatever.
Worldwide, it made over 100 million.
Right. So even if he made 10 million, he's a hit. So 100 million
Right.
is even better, right? So then he was able to go off and make the other movies because, with that and get his career back on track. So thank you, Jason Blum, for doing stuff like this with fantastic directors like James Wan. And I think Scott Derrickson was another one because he had that awful not War of the Worlds. What was the other one? Crap. It wasn't what was the one that Keanu Reeves was in? That was sort of like it
Oh, Day the Earth Stood Still
the Day the Earth Stood Still. That bombed badly,
with Jaden
terribly.
Smith.
Yeah, so that bombed so badly that Scott Derrickson was almost out of a job until Blumhouse said, "You're a really talented director. Direct Sinister for us," and stuff. And so Sinister brought him back on the map. And then he got Doctor Strange after that, and stuff like that, which Doctor Strange is a pretty damn good movie, like, I
The
know,
first one isn't bad, yeah.
yeah, and and that was pre Disney changing their stuff,
It's when Feige really didn't come into, he was more like the Queen for a while. Where he go out there in his hat and wave to people. It wasn't until Captain Marvel that he completely took over. That's when like a couple of these board members got fired, and then they gave Feige the run of the place. And now these
Yeah.
board members are trying to get Bob Iger out, so they could actually start making money
Well,
again.
from what
So
I've understood, and I think we're talking about the same guy who mentions this stuff, but I think what's happening is there's going to be a voting in the spring to get new board members on the board and everything, and they want two of the people that are part of the biggest group that's paying for Disney to come in there and take over because one of them actually used to work for Disney, but then left, and now just works for that company that what is I don't know whatever you call it, uh cash company that funds, the funding company, and everything. Now, both two of those members are trying to come on board because they both know they can actually take over, and help improve because the biggest problem is that they're just not making money, they're losing money. And
yeah,
and
oh yeah,
no
yeah. Well, okay, so listen, okay, so let me tell you these budgets because you're talking about that stuff. So Insidious Chapter 2, 5 million. Hey, your first movie made us a gazillion dollars, so we're gonna give you more money.
Yep,
Its
that
worldwide
was the
box
model.
office,
That's the Blumhouse model.
yeah, And then so its worldwide is 161 million. Chapter 3, 10 million. It did not make as much worldwide. It made
Hmm.
112 million. But all of a sudden, Last Key, 10 million, it made more than any of them, 167 million.
Oh wow.
And then years later, we got The Red Door, 16, but it made more than any of them. It made $188 million. That's how you make movies.
Hmm.
Now, I don't agree with Jason Blum on a lot of stuff because I did watch some stuff with him and David Gordon Green on Exorcist, and I'm just like, what the dude? No, I think you need to take a step back and look at what you're doing. I mean, you started off great, and now you're just bringing out crap. Fantasy Island and Truth or Dare, and just like this stuff is garbage.
Black Christmas.
Oh my god.
You try to forget about that one. We reviewed
Oh
that for, by the way, everybody, we reviewed that for Horror Film Lovers Review, so go check that out.
god.
Um, but
I hate
uh
that movie.
I know, and we
I
gotta
really
eventually
do.
do Fantasy Island, and we gotta do Truth or Dare, which when I first watched Truth or Dare, I liked Truth or Dare. I don't know. There was just something
It's not Truth or
I
Dare.
know
It,
it's
it's
not.
it,
It's not. It's its own thing, whatever, but it did bother me. I don't know. I didn't have the same feelings you have on it. Fantasy Island I just kind of you know. I
Fantasy
would
Island isn't even Fantasy
I
Island.
know.
It's like the people who made it, who also did Truth or Dare, never watched an episode of Fantasy Island.
Well, honestly, they also made a Fantasy Island TV show, which I don't think Blumhouse had anything to do with, a new updated TV show, and that had nothing to do with Fantasy Island. It was, I don't think. So it, I think Fantasy Island is just it's just in name only, it's not has nothing to do with
Well,
the
that's why it's Blumhouse's Fantasy Island and
yeah,
Blumhouse's Truth or Dare, because neither one of them, to me, Truth or Dare was the same thing as Smile. It's garbage. It's just garbage.
yeah,
It breaks its own rules because it doesn't know what its rules are. It's bad writing, and I said this in my video for the worst films of last year for like Five Nights at Freddy's, which is if you're a filmmaker and you think Five Nights at Freddy's is good, stop making films, please, because you're wrong. It's bad. It's a horrible script. It's poorly made. It's not a good movie. I don't care how much you like the game. It's a bad movie and it is poorly written. And for some reason, these guys out there who write and direct these independent films, and we know a lot of them, love Five Nights at Freddy's. And it's like, no, it's dude, you write. You should know when something is bad. You can
no,
like bad, but just call it bad.
yeah. You, I like that. It's a good quote. You like if you can like bad, just call it bad. You
Yeah,
know,
there's nothing wrong with liking bad movies.
you
You
like
know,
Birdemic.
I love Birdemic, the first Birdemic. Well, I like the second one too. I haven't seen. I don't really want to watch the third one because I've heard it's so himic. That it's so himic that it's so horrible. But yes, I did love Birdemic. But I think maybe that's also why I was surprised with Insidious 5 is they're now on the fifth film and they were able to, like you said, they painted themselves into a corner and they were able to get themselves out of it in a good creative way.
Right.
With the two writers that are listed on this, what's interesting is in that possessed director behind the scenes, Patrick Wilson talks about it's all him.
Right.
I came up with the story. I came up with these ideas. I did this. I did that. So it sounds like maybe he was the one who came up with all these ideas and then gave them to, Lee Whannell and the other writer. But he takes a credit for a lot of the stuff.
Good. I mean, he did a really good job, and I was watching it. I was like laughing because I could think like, cause okay, this is his like I don't know if it's his directorial debut,
Yeah, they
but
say it's his first film. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. I was like thinking, well, if it wasn't, it was his first for horror, at least I'm pretty sure, and so all I could think about was like. he really like because he's the lead in it too. Like he or one of the leads is him and Ty Simpkins from Iron Man 3, another great Marvel movie. But I love Iron Man
No,
3.
Iron Man 3 is not a good movie because of what they did to the Mandalorian. I sorry, not
Which
the the Mandarin. Mandarin. I'm sorry, the
Mandarin?
Mandarin. The
Oh yeah,
Mandarin.
yeah. They kind of made him a like a
They
joke.
kinda
I mean, they did. Well, and
that's
and that
like that's
guy,
like taking the Joker, Batman's number one villain, and not making him a Joker, but turning him into an alcoholic actor.
yeah,
The Mandarin is Iron Man's Joker.
yeah.
Why would you do that? Fuck you, Shane Black.
Maybe that was not his call. He had to do what they told him to do.
And there is
And
so much hatred for that. There's a short that you see on YouTube where Ben Kingsley is in prison and he says it was all fake. So he's playing the Mandarin and he's telling people that oh yeah, that was all an act.
he was really the Mandarin.
That he's actually really a bad guy. He wasn't a drunk actor.
I
He's
don't
really
know, because then later he's in Shang-Chi, and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and
they
she's
retcon it.
and they bring him back as the actor, the alcoholic actor again. So like, and then
He
make
was
him really
so
really goofy in that. But I
so good
actually
in the
still love
trailer.
the movie.
So good in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Um.
it's if you see him in Suspect Zero, he is frightening. And the same thing with Sexy Based. My God, he is scary. So why would you get a guy who looks like Gandhi, who can be terrifying, to play a drunk actor and destroy a villain? I don't
I
get
don't
it.
know. But anyway, I still enjoyed that movie other than that part, you know. But I liked Ty Simpkins in it. He was interesting and I liked him in this. So
He's good.
but
He's fine.
yeah, but to have what's his name? Patrick Wilson sort of being the director and he sort of makes his character like have this I mean, it looked like he was trying to go for an Oscar, you know, like he had these scenes where it was like this is really like serious shit. You're serious acting you're giving yourself, you know, and he's doing it and he's directing. I mean, you've directed movies that you've acted in, right? Have you?
Some, not a lot. I tend to stay away from that, but I've
It's
seen people
hard.
like Joe Lujan do it.
And it's
So
hard.
it's
It's not easy, you know, because you got to
no
be
that
in
yeah,
the
because
moment as an actor. You have to be in that character, right? And then after that, then somebody else has to yell cut because you
well
can't.
you yeah, I mean you got to get yourself a really good DP and you got to get yourself a good editor
And
and you have
AD,
to
you have to get
trust
yourself a good
a
AD
good AD and
because
you got there are certain things where you have to go above when especially when it's your first film and you're like you said like the lead actor in it because you are trusting them to do everything while you're in front of the camera.
right. While you're in front of the camera. Now, when you're behind the camera and everything, you could do whatever you want. And that's why a lot of people don't act and stuff like Alfred Hitchcock only did the cameos, where he just shows up and for 2 seconds of a thing, or whatever, and you see him, you're like, oh, there's Alfred Hitchcock, that's really cool. And then you move on. Then there's Kevin Smith who puts himself as Silent Bob, which originally was not supposed to be a bigger role, was only supposed to be the side character, and I don't think he was ever expecting that they do Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back or anything like that. But the characters kind of took a whole new level, but he had to direct and act at the same time. He even said in Clerks he was originally going to give himself Randall, but then he realized Randall had too many fucking lines to memorize and he couldn't do that and direct. So he decided to give himself the guy who had no lines except for like one line at the end, you know, and everything. So, I mean, to me, that's the way it is. That's the way it is for filmmakers, and Patrick
Well, yeah,
Wilson did a
you
great
just, I
job.
mean, Woody Allen did it, Clint Eastwood did it. I mean, there's a lot of people who are directors and actors. So,
Or Ed Burns did it, and
oh God.
I like
Uh,
Brothers McMullen, and She's the One. I like his older work.
I thought Brothers McMullen was good. He's a horrible actor. God, does he suck as an actor. He is one of the worst actors in Hollywood.
I liked
He
him in
is
Entourage.
You
Which,
just thought
by the
about
way, they
trash.
talked about recently. They want to reboot it for this year. For like
They
these
just
coming years.
have
I don't know
they
how
have
that's
nothing
gonna
else to
happen.
do.
They went to like a comic convention like in Orlando or something, and they all met up. They hadn't seen all of the guys hadn't been together in like 8 years together. Like they'd all been there around separately, and stuff, but like all of them together in one place. And Kevin Dillon was like, I would love to, we would love to do like a reboot of this show, get us back, or whatever. And honestly, I'd be okay with that because I miss Ari. If you could just give me an Ari show, I'd be okay with that. But the problem is you'd have to make him Ari for now, where he has to watch everything he says, and it would be kind of funny, I think, in a way. I don't know. Like he wouldn't be able to say half the shit he actually does say, you know? All right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
I'm listening. I just have nothing to say about Entourage. I've seen it. It was okay. It was fine. I just don't care.
But I'm a huge fan, so whatever. You're cool with that. Whatever. Yeah.
That's why I'm
Um,
not saying anything. Is because I know you're a big fan.
yep.
So, I mean, I have nothing good or bad to say about the show. I watched it. It was fine, and
I rewatch it all the time, so
but
I don't.
yeah, I don't need a sequel or anything or
All right.
another series.
So, what was your favorite scene in this movie? And Insidious, the Red Dwarf, one we've been talking about, sort of.
Uh, Favorite scene.
I have one specifically in mind, but I want to hear
Uh,
yours. Do you have one?
Maybe the scene with the figures walking up behind the car. I don't think I have a scene. No,
My favorite.
I didn't think about it.
My favorite scene is the stuff like the class where she's telling people to like let me see let me see your art. It's like the first day of class, and this one black kid's like, "Oh, here." And she's like, "That's terrible. Rip it up." And he's like, "I worked really hard on this thing." And she's like, I don't care. Rip it up. Nobody's gonna." She goes, "Nobody's gonna miss it." And I was like, "Oh man, she's harsh." And then he's like, "No." And she was like, all right, we found our first quitter." And he says, he was like, I'm not quitting." And she was like, "You just don't know it yet. Goodbye." you know, right? See ya, whatever. She leaves, and it reminded me a little of Boiler Room. Where the two kids were like, the one guy was like laughing and called the guy a loser, and the person was like, "Get out of here, go."
I
We
don't
don't.
remember that from. I've seen Boiler Room a couple times, but long time ago.
Yeah,
I
so
the
yeah, it was
but
Ben Affleck told the guy to get the fuck out, and he goes, "What?" He was like, "We want everybody to be supportive of each other. Get the fuck out," you know, and stuff.
well, but the thing is, now I know exactly the scene you're talking about, and I agreed with the kid. So he's the one, if you look at his art, out of everybody there for the art that we see, he's the one that's going to make money.
Right.
He's the one that's going to draw comic books. He's the one who's probably going to get into marketing and make good money. And which is funny because if you know, I don't know if you remember Reality Bites,
Been a
but
while since I've seen it.
it's Ben Stiller is like the MTV executive, and Winona Ryder shoots all that kind of like real world footage of her friends, and he re-edits it like it's a music video, and she's like, wait a minute, that's not how it should be. It should be like this. And he basically tells her that the way that she was going to do it would make no money at all, but the way that he did it, it's going to make money.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, I don't care. And I agree with Ben Stiller. You don't make stuff that not to make money. You make it to make money.
Well, I mean,
So
and
and so I
this,
agree with the kid in the class is that
yeah,
night looked pretty good,
yeah,
so he's probably going to make money.
right. And that was what, yeah, her whole thing was art isn't about, making money and about doing something because you think it looks cool. It's doing, it's going deeper into your emotional thing. And then guess what? Guess what guess what the result was? He fucking goes into the further because of this shit, you know, right?
Yeah, because
So
of
are
listening
you
to the
trying to
art
say
teacher.
the art teacher is the one who fucked his life up, in a way, by making him go further into his psyche and finding the further, which I thought was kind of funny. But I like that scene, and I liked that he tore his up, and she was like, "Why would you tear up that beautiful drawing? Okay, tear it up some more." You know,
I
right?
I
Like,
don't. The kid even admitted that he just drew it from a picture.
yeah,
So I don't even know if it's good. I mean, if you're just duplicating, I mean, granted, somebody would go out with a canvas and paint a lake, so they're copying the lake. But this is but the lake is a living, moving thing with sailboats and birds and all that. This is just a picture, and
right.
that's fine. It looked nice. I mean, it really captured. You knew exactly who it was. But is it as good as she says it is? I mean, you're literally just duplicating a
Or
photograph.
was it like, because I mean, she said beautiful picture. I think she was throwing him off at first, that she was telling him,
Oh
it
no,
was
I
a
thought that
beautiful
she
picture. That's what
I thought she
got from,
really
because
dug it
she
that
really, yeah, but she had told him tear it up some more. So I think she was,
well, because if you could tear up your art, good or bad, I guess,
well,
then that's I figured that he would probably end up being her number one student, is
right.
the impression that I got.
And I also thought that what she was also trying to say was, she even says it like right after, you got to let go of your past. Whatever you did before my class, is not what you're going to be doing now. You're going to be doing better or whatever. Because she was like the best art teacher, and that's, in the world or something like that or whatever. Like, and that, because remember Patrick Wilson asked him about it on the drive there when there's like, it's very awkward. And I'm like, that was the most awkward sort of scene with them driving up to the college and everything and not having much to say to each other. Because, when he was looking for that like response from him, his response was, I guess. He didn't really want to go with his dad. He just knew that his dad.
Well, that's why there's that rift
Yeah.
with them because of the memory loss.
Yeah.
So it's and then the dad, he even admitted that he went off and didn't spend much time with the family and all that because he's just in like a really
Fog.
bizarre place.
In the
So yeah,
fog.
it's
And it was
you know
all the fog was caused by the memory loss because of the stuff. So like, and I love that scene with Rose Byrne just saying that like she didn't know, she and her mom or whatever, his mom,
yeah
didn't realize that doing this to them would cause this issue. They thought it would be just that they thought it would really help, but instead it kind of hurt the family a lot more. I mean, they ended up getting divorced over this, which kind of made me
yeah.
sad because I liked them both together, and everything. Even though I'm so jealous of fucking Patrick Wilson. I mean, he was married to fucking Rose Byrne, then he's married to fucking Vera Farmiga. I mean, dude, man, spread the marriage around to other people, please. You know, like, I'm so jealous, in a
And he
way.
got to swim right next to Amber Turd. I mean,
Uh, oh man, it's so funny because James Wan can't say anything legally about anything, but man, I would love to have dinner with that dude and just be like, look, off the record, this ain't going anywhere. Just me and you, just talk, head talk. Like, did you really just want to drown that chick, in the water? Oh God. But you can't say anything against Amber. If you're on Amber's side, there are people that on Twitter took like notice of people who are liking Johnny's tweets as opposed to people who are liking Amber's tweets. So if Amber got more likes or whatever, you were a bad person because you didn't stick up for women. You stuck
The
up for
only thing that matters is he won.
you did win, and he won because he was right, and and whatnot. But I don't know. I'm never gonna work with her, probably. Like I just don't see that happening. So I'm never gonna. I don't think I'll ever get where she'd even. Oh, I don't know. Kevin Spacey's doing horror conventions now, so I mean, some people's careers have, when they went down, they're gonna start taking lesser and lesser movies, roles or whatever, you know. But
Got to pay those bills.
gotta pay those bills. But I don't know how many people are gonna really like. Is she still working?
She's made, I think, like one or two movies over in Europe.
Let's see. What is she doing now? She got anything going? Nope. She nothing in development, nothing in pre-production. Just the last project is Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. Oof. And the Lost Kingdom, right? Lost Kingdom. And I haven't watched it yet. I wanted to, I really did because I want to support our boy, James Wan.
I thought it was
But
okay.
did you see it? Okay.
Hmm.
Did you see it in the theater or did you see it on your internet?
Internet.
Okay. I didn't, yeah, I wanted to support him, wanted to go to it, but I haven't gone to a movie in forever. And I think the next one I'm gonna see is Ghostbusters,
I
uh,
yeah, I
Frozen
wanted to
Empire.
support. Yeah, I want to go see that one too, and I do have a gift card, so I thought of using it for that. But I just heard way too many bad things about Aquaman too. I just
Yeah.
didn't want to I didn't want to use my gift card on that or spend money. I just heard it was too bad. I mean, I'm going to purchase it.
I'm gonna buy it
So,
too at some
but
point, just because I think I have the first one on 4K.
yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
if
I'll pick it
not, I'll
up.
buy both of them on 4K. But I
I
don't
mean, shit,
know.
I own the Flash.
I know, and you
Uh,
weren't a huge fan of the Flash, right? Or
no, I liked elements of it, but overall, I didn't. No, I didn't. I found it for cheap, and it was like, well, I like Supergirl. She's hot. I kind of like her storyline.
yeah, I'm surprised they didn't go with her, but I guess they were trying to close that chapter of all those different people because like they just picked a new Supergirl. So I was like, why didn't they just use the one they used for the Flash? Considering James Gunn said the Flash was the best movie of all time, or whatever. Kind of went around that thing, which
Liar,
I know
liar.
I think
That's why I
he
don't
had
trust
to do
him.
that.
I
He had
don't
to do
trust
that.
him.
I don't know.
I don't trust him. I
It
don't
was
trust the guy.
whatever. But
Nope.
why wouldn't he use the Supergirl that they used for the Flash, if he liked it so much?
Well,
But
in the same way that they didn't use, Henry Cavill to play Superman.
yeah, they're not bringing Superman back. So everybody's getting new people. And did you see that whole thing with Matthew Vaughn?
I saw something with him. I don't
Okay,
remember what
so
though.
Matthew Vaughn, and I'm gonna go into a little bit before, but he actually tried to get Millie Alcott or whatever, whoever's the girl that's the new Supergirl. He wanted to get her in his next movie, right? And she had to turn him down because she was gonna be Supergirl. When he found out the super she got cast into the Supergirl movie without a super director being attached to it yet, which there is no director yet for that one because that one's not getting made for like till like next year or something. And they are shooting this year, they're shooting Superman. So they need Supergirl because Supergirl's going to be in the new Superman and then she's going to have her own spin-off thing. But anyway, point is Matthew Vaughn made a big deal of like should you cast the uh you know shouldn't it be the director be casting the the main character in her own movie? And what I guess he didn't understand was that the when he said it on a podcast. He should have understood that they she was going to be a Superman legacy, the new Superman movie. You know what I mean? So she got cast in that, and then she's going to get her own spin-off movie. So they're going to find a director, for that. But
Hmm.
it's not the director who's casting that. The director will probably cast other characters, but the director is not. in these
I
worlds.
I don't understand at all what you're talking about. It's James Gunn's universe, just like it
Right.
was Zack Schneider's universe. So, and he's directing Superman Legacy. So
Hmm.
he hired the girl to play Supergirl,
Right.
and so that would mean that that Supergirl would go to the Supergirl movie. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter what director is there.
Yep.
She would go to that movie. So
Right.
that doesn't make so I'm not understanding
So he
this.
didn't understand that at all either. He didn't understand that she was working
So
on that movie.
like I've said with actresses, maybe then he should just shut the fuck up because he doesn't know anything. So I'll be fair and tell a guy to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Just stop saying shit until you know what's going on.
Because then you look like an idiot. You
Yeah.
know? And I love Matthew Vaughn. I love him. I think he's a great. I haven't seen the new Argyle movie. I think that's what he did.
Wow, did that bomb?
Yeah, I haven't heard great things about it yet either. But I, you know, was that is that Henry Cavill too?
Yeah, yeah. I think they were expecting it to do big, and it
Yeah.
just did not. They called it they called it was it the Marvels of James Bond movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just bombed beyond belief. So
Oh, that sucks. But he apparently wants to really work with that Millie girl, the girl that's playing Supergirl, and I think he was a little jealous that, like he wants to be the director of the new Supergirl movie, and I'm like, I hope not. Like, like I love you to death, and I think he did Kick-Ass, which was great. I don't think he did Kick-Ass 2, did he? Kick-Ass
no, it's
2
a different
was,
director on Kick-Ass too.
yeah, Kick-Ass 2 was terrible.
I liked
Uh,
Kick-Ass too. I
it's
liked them both.
I like the first one a lot better. I just didn't like Jim Carrey in it. Just didn't. And I love Jim
I
Carrey.
didn't like Jim Carrey after it.
Oh yeah, when he is around going around saying, "Oh, I can't promote this because it has guns in it." I'm like, dude, didn't you
You
act in the movie?
Yeah, it's like what the fuck?
Oh, like that's weird. Like it's because I think he got a lot of. I mean, there was a lot of blowback with shootings and stuff, and he just. But
Yeah, I
I'm
think
like,
that there were a couple at the time, but you got to put down the movie. Then once again, Jim, shut up. Shut up,
yeah,
Jim. Be
yeah.
quiet. You made the movie. Shut up.
But you have to like, yeah, and you have to go on the tours and say, because that's what the studio wants of you, I guess he's got enough money that he can just get sued, you know, for that breach of contract or whatever. But I don't know. I love Jim Carrey. I was like, I didn't dig him in the movie. I just, but I just didn't dig it as that one as much anyway, period. Um, but I dig Jim in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. There you go. I know you
All
you
right.
don't watch any of those. All right.
No, no.
So I think
So we
we're
we
about
we
wrapped
have
up.
really deviated from Insidious.
I
So
don't care. We do that all the time. So if people are complaining about that, which I
no,
don't see
but one of
anybody.
us has to point it out, to stay on target, and neither one of us said stay on target. So
No, we're not going to.
so
So not today.
so should we rate it and wrap it up?
All right. So yeah, what are you gonna rate it?
4 out of 5.
I do 3.5 out of 5. I don't know what I
Okay.
gave the other ones, but I think it wasn't my favorite, as I said, and it was my least favorite. But out of my least favorite I mean, this franchise is amazing, and it has got some great movies in it. You know, like it's hard, you know, and I just, even though it made its money, it's gonna make another one, so probably. I just
That's
don't.
why they got to make Insidious meets what is it? Sinister.
I mean, I guess they could. But I never liked Sinister.
And then you combine the titles together. So it's like
Sinister
Sin S I N
Idioster.
Insidious. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. No, I don't like Sinister. I didn't dig it. I dug what it did. It helped build Scott Derrickson's career back. I just could I watched both of them. I watched Sinister 1 and 2, and I just
I
couldn't.
own both of them.
Yeah,
I liked both of them.
I think I own Sinister, but I don't think I own Sinister 2 on Blu-ray. I didn't dig it. But it's not, you know, to me it wasn't a franchise. Like it was I was I was surprised it got a sequel, you know. I just and
It made money, and
I
that's what
know.
counts.
I
How about
guess
Insidious meets The Conjuring, and then Patrick Wilson could play two different characters, like actually like face to face.
now you're talking like multiverse type.
Now I'm talking like a fanboy.
Yeah. No, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I want I don't even want a crossover of anything. Well, what if it's like Insidious meets The Purge and it's like The Purge and all of a sudden the ghosts are attacking the people too? Because ghosts get
All the
to have
people
the
that
purge.
died,
Yeah, all the
they
people
come
that
back. So
died, they come back and haunt the people for that
see,
one day.
I think I'm going to do fan fiction for Insidious and The Conjuring, and I'm going to write it like this: Patrick Wilson, the dad from Insidious, walks into the room and sees Patrick Wilson from The Conjuring, who does exorcisms. That's how I'm going to write it. I'm going to write it just like that. Like I'm not going to use the character names. I'm just going to say Patrick Wilson, the dad from Insidious,
You might as
and
well do
Patrick Wilson, the husband from The
a
Conjuring.
whole fanfic where you just put the whole Blumhouse universe in there and
Oh, a
everything.
Blumverse.
A Blumverse where it's like kind of like Castle Rock, where all of a sudden they're in just this one town that has all of the shit happening at once. So like you see the guy from Get Out, and then you see, all these other characters, but they're like side characters that just kind of pop up every now and then, just to, oh, by the way, we're in this universe, you know.
I would watch that. I
I
would
would
be
watch
involved
that.
with that.
Well, you liked, or I don't know if you liked it, but I know you liked the idea of the what is it, the Asylum verse movie, where they had all the
Yeah, I
asylum
still want to
monsters.
see that. Yeah, and of course that's Michael Sue directed that one. So I really want to see that one. So I think that was a good idea that they did because they have this universe, but they don't have a lot of creatures.
Right.
So it's like, Mega Shark that they have or the Megalodon, but there's like 10 movies. And then so it's not like it's 20
Sharknado. I wonder did they put a Sharknado in that one? Please tell me they did.
in which one? Because that's a
In
different
the Asylum verse.
that I don't know. I know some of the other stuff is in there, but maybe it's too big. I know in Z Nation, their zombie TV show, which I thought was better than The Walking Dead, they did have a Zomnado.
Did they?
Yeah. And all the zombies got caught up in the tornado and were spinning and they were like shooting out all over the place. So
Oh,
they were like dropping from the sky. And then they tried to redo Sharknado with the zombie wave one, where I guess like people all died in like a boat or maybe
mm-hmm.
like a cruise liner. And it was a wave of zombies that came up onto the beach. I never
Nice.
watched it. I think it has what's his face from Sharknado in it. The main guy is in it.
Oh, Ian Ziering.
Yeah, I think he's the main guy in it.
By the way, for the longest time, I called him Ian. I did not know it was Ian. And then one day I heard, I think it was like on a Sharknado, thing or whatever, where they were saying Ian Ziering. And I'm like, the fuck? I didn't even know it was like actually, like I've been calling him the wrong name for a long time. It's like that Melissa, from Scream. Anyway, whatever. So, everybody, thank you guys so much for checking this out. This has been kind of a long, well, I mean, these shows go longer, so that's typical.
This is
Um,
actually maybe one of our shorter ones. It's
yeah,
I think it's
you,
just hitting the 2 hour mark
it's close to
because
two
we
hours.
yeah because we started after 7,
I think we started
so
at 7:20 something.
something like that.
So,
Yeah, so this may be actually one of our shorter ones.
yeah, it might have been one of our short ones, and that's fine because there's not. I hate to say it, there wasn't as much to talk about on this one, as there were a couple of the other ones.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree.
But I'm glad we got to chat about this and chat about everything else. So join us in 2 more weeks. We'll be doing I think it's the Nun 2, which
The
I
nun
guess
dose.
the Nun Dose. So get ready for that. That'll be fun. I have not I don't know what that, I don't know what that's it's gonna be good or bad. I haven't seen it yet, so I have no idea. But yeah,
I have watched it, so.
well, don't tell me anything.
And no, and if you remember, you went, uh-oh, because I said, "Oh, I just saw The Nun too." You went, "Did you like it?" I said, "Yes, it reminds me of Halloween Ends."
Oh God,
And
okay.
you went, "Oh no."
Oh, all right. Well, I want to say thank you guys, everybody, for checking this
On
out.
that note,
Yeah, join us soon. And then also check out us on TikTok. We've got a TikTok that's been doing episodes like little clips and stuff. I know John's not the biggest fan of TikTok, but
I
we
do
got
not do TikTok.
he does not do TikTok, but he is on our TikTok. He's got clips.
That's
You know.
okay. You can make as many of those. You do a good job at those. Some of those I think are
Thanks.
pretty funny, but the little snippets that you pick out are pretty funny.
I try to find the best that kind of encapsulate the stories and stuff that we talk about. But I have to wade through all the stuff like the bullshit we talk about
I
other
could
shit
not
and
do
stuff
that.
that has nothing to
I
do with.
just I couldn't do that.
Yeah, well,
I
no, I mean, I
I
just go through it and then I just say, oh, this okay, this clip. Pretty easy.
when I started one filmmaker, I used to go through it and put in like if something went wrong, like a little like technical thing from like The Simpsons or 3 minutes later, that type of thing. And now when people ask, "Oh, do you edit your videos?" I'm like, "No,
No,
it's just
I
no,
don't. I
no.
don't
I'm not
either.
going to
Like
sit through a three
this
hour
is gonna
video."
be yeah. This is going to be what it is. This is us in the whole conversation. I don't edit anything out. Even the filler shit that's in there. Like anything that we put in here is in it. So there you go. But for a lot of these clips, just finding like a 1 to 3 to sometimes 4 minute clip, pretty simple. I don't wanna, you know, I don't wanna overdo it, but I don't wanna underdo it. So anyway, hope you guys check that out. Also check us out on Instagram, which I need to start updating more, and check us out on Facebook and other stuff. So until later, bye everybody.
Bye.